Okay, so as people are slowly filtering in, we'll get started and get into it. So for those of you who are here, thank you for showing up for the information session about the English Language and Culture program offered by McGill, the School of Continuing Studies. If anyone's in Montreal or on the East Coast right now, it's a little early, 9 a.m., but thanks again for swinging by. So let's try and see. I am Damien Molinari Operisano, the second name over there. Kevin Stanley is the program coordinator. Unfortunately, he's teaching this morning, so he couldn't be here for the information session. But if you end up joining us, it'll be a name you'll be seeing quite often. And he's also available if you have any questions later on down the line about anything really academic. He's the person to go to. Joining me today for the meeting is my colleague, Gabrielle Deschamps. She's going to be in the chat. If you have any questions, feel free to type your questions and Gabrielle will be able to try and answer them. And she'll also be posting some important links that we're going to be seeing in the presentation so that you can know exactly where to go if you want to get more information or if you want to register or anything like that. As I said, don't hesitate to ask anything in the chat. And at the end of the presentation, probably within the next 24 hours, you'll be receiving a recording. So you'll be able to go back and see some of the information that we actually present. So don't worry about missing something if ever a slide goes by fast or something like that. It's not a problem. First question is, why do you want to study English? So there are many reasons why different people want to end up studying English, including for professional development, needing English for a job or career development. It can also be because down the line in the future, you might want to study at an English university. You want to end up taking a TOEFL or IELTS test or another equivalent English test, and you want to prepare for that. You want to live in Canada. These are all valid reasons why people want to end up studying English. You might fall within these, you might have your own. Feel free to share them with us. And especially opportunities. English is a very useful language to develop, and it gives you a lot of opportunities in North America and around the world. Why McGill? Well, McGill is a historical university in Canada. It's over 200 years old. We started our 3rd century. It's rated #1 in Canada, although we do have some competitors like University of Toronto or University of BC, very good universities. But usually it's always in the top 3. We try and stay at #1 as best as possible. It's number 27 in the world as of 2022. That varies, but again, pretty highly ranked. We have 12 Nobel Prize winners who attended McGill University as well as did research at McGill, and 147 Rhodes Scholars. These are highly achieved students who end up being funded for research down the line. And one thing that makes McGill very special is how multicultural it is. There are students from over 150 countries who attend McGill University as a whole. And in our School of Continuing Studies, we are not far behind, right around the 110, 120 countries who attend our particular school at McGill University. Just to give you a quick preview of what McGill looks like. This is what it looks like in the spring. It's a very beautiful campus in downtown Montreal. So it's in the heart of all the action. As you can see, these are the pictures of the blooming trees and some of our older buildings on campus. This is what it looks like from the air. So as you can see at the top, this area over here is Mount Royal. It's the center of our city, and McGill is right alongside it, between Mount Royal and our downtown core. This is our hospital, the MUHC. And this is a quick view of the western side of campus on McTavish Street. This is the Red Path Museum, our own natural history museum on campus. And these are the rock gates, the central entry point to the campus. So as you can see, it's a very picturesque campus. It's very nice. And it's fun to actually come here every day. I enjoy it quite a bit. Our medical research center. And a quick picture of what it's gonna look like soon with the snow, because it is December and we're gonna really be heading into winter soon. No more flowering, but Still a beautiful campus. This is the entrance to our particular building, 680 Sherbrooke Street, which is again right near the campus across the street. So we're right in the middle of the action. So getting into reasons for McGill, it leads us to reasons to choose ELC, English Language and Culture program. Well, it's to study English at the best language school in the best city in Canada. That's pretty much what it is. We can argue about which university is the best. We can argue about which language school is the best, but by far, Montreal is the best city in Canada. Another thing that's interesting is we're going to get into the real structure of the program and what it looks like. But one important thing to know is that it is a very intensive program. It is a full-time immersive language program with 6-week courses where you come to school 5 days a week, Monday to Friday, and for 5 hours a day, you are in an English-speaking environment in class, doing activities, etc. And this leads to you learning very, very quickly. So one level in our program is equal to one of our 6-week courses. And another important thing is that the type of English that you're learning is a very functional English, which means you'll be able to use this in both your professional and academic and personal lives. The program is well suited for people with different specific goals. As I mentioned earlier, McGill being a very multicultural university, our program in particular is very interesting because of the fact that it's a language program, which means that there are people from all over the world who come to our school to learn English with us, which means if you join us, you will have peers and colleagues from all over the world. And that adds something quite special to the program. Some of the features of the program is, as I said, 6 weeks per course, which equals to 24 hours of class per week. 5 hours a day from Monday to Thursday and 4 hours on Fridays, because there is an activity every Friday afternoon that is incorporated into the schedule. Each course has 2 McGill teachers or instructors, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. And they both have different teaching styles, they might have different expressions, they have different approaches, and this is something that adds to the experience in the classroom by really varying your experience. In addition to all the class time scheduled, there are also conversation partner sessions. So we'll get into what the conversation partners are later in the presentation, but these are extracurricular opportunities for you to practice your English, socialize with people from Montreal, and actually explore the city as someone who now or will be staying in Montreal. This is an example of what your weekly schedule might look like. So in the mornings, you're going to have class from 9:30 to 12. You're going to have a lunch time for 1 hour from 12 to 1. And then in the afternoons, as I mentioned earlier, you're going to have another 2.5 hours from Monday to Thursdays. And on Fridays, we finish 1 hour earlier because there is always an Explore Montreal outing. So everything that is in this darker tone is optional. I encourage you to participate as much as possible. It adds to the life of the program and it's beneficial for you as an English language learner, but they are completely optional. So if the program itself has 144 hours of class time, in addition to the class with the extracurricular activities, it's closer to 160 or 170 hours of immersive English. Some of the sociocultural activities as well as cultural projects that take place in the program and in Montreal are listed over here. These are different research topics that you might end up looking into and learning about while you're in Montreal, which one will allow you to use Montreal's culture as a curriculum, as a tool for you to increase your knowledge and comfort in English. But at the same time, while doing that work and improving your English, you are also learning about the city you are immersed in. So this is the culture part of our program. And we try and really connect this in terms of the extracurricular activities that we end up offering, the materials seen in class, with a very strong focus on culture. Class size is another important element. So we try to avoid having very, very large classes. We average out at around 14, 15 students per class, but it varies from session to session. It can be as low as 8, but it can be as high as around 20 or 21. We try to avoid 22 because that gets a bit big, but it's possible depending on which session you join us. Some have more students than others. In addition to this, the class is designed around, so you're going to have a lot of interactions with the students in your class, which again, very useful for the development of your spoken English. And the whole point is to practice, practice, practice all the time. Every moment in the program is designed to be a learning opportunity. So 2 teachers means that there's a lot of individual attention to each student. You're going to be able to have the opportunity to have feedback, to ask questions, to have one-on-one meetings with your teachers throughout the course. So if at a certain point you feel as if you need help or you need guidance, one of your teachers or both will really be able to step in and give you that support that you need throughout the course. Another very important thing to understand about the program is that we have a centralized location for each course. Everything about your class material will be located in the same place. It's our LMS, Learning Management System, and it's called My Courses. Once you register for McGill University, you'll be given a student number, you'll set up your email address, and with that, you're going to have access to your My Courses. And this will allow you to see all the course material. One thing I would like to mention there, in this centralized location, you actually have roadmaps, which means you see where the course is going. You see what the next step is going to be, why you're seeing what you're seeing at this moment. It's in order to use it next week or the week after for this particular project. So everything about your course is centralized over here and accessible anytime. We're moving away from the paper-based course and really trying to incorporate the use of technology, but a simple technology. Because of this, it's very important that you bring your device to class. So laptops, tablets, both are fine. If you're comfortable with a tablet, it's not a problem. It's big enough and easy enough to use for the different types of work that you have to do in class. But try to avoid phones. Phones just don't make it work in the class. They're a bit small. If you have a writing assignment, it's very difficult to write using our thumbs. So think of it as a device which allows you to really use your English in the 4 main elements, which is listening, reading, speaking, and writing activities. Whatever device you choose to bring, it should be something that is easy to use for these 4 aspects of the language. Going back to conversation partners, these are McGill students, Montreal University students, English language speakers, and people who live in Montreal who are here to facilitate and encourage conversation. Again, the use of English in a very stress-free environment to socialize. So twice a week, you're going to have conversation partners who are going to visit your classroom and lead a conversation session, or just ask you how your weekend was going, what your plans are, what your favorite thing about Montreal is, where you're from, why you came to Montreal, anything at all. These are open forums to just use English in a meaningful way. In addition to this, we have after-school activities on Mondays and Fridays based on our current schedule model. On Mondays, we have activities in the school, and on Fridays, we have outings in Montreal to explore the city. Friday Explore Montreal outings. This is an example of the activity schedule. I think Gabrielle will perhaps post a link to our current one for this session, which is actually ending today, our Fall 2 session, which ran from October 31st to today. And it's a good example of what the schedule looks like. Every session we create a new schedule, and you have access to this and are invited to all of the extracurricular activities. This includes board games on Mondays, special activities and special outings, and cultural immersive outings, going to check out Mount Royal, Old Montreal, exploring the downtown, going cafe hopping, going to see particular neighborhoods that are of interest in Montreal. In addition to this, there are community activities associated with other organizations and aspects in Montreal and throughout McGill. So the MCLLs, the McGill Community of Lifelong Learning, these are former employees or former graduates of McGill who are older and have retired or semi-retired. And the goal here is to help them with simple aspects of technology. So some of them might want to prepare a PowerPoint, or some of them might want to send an email and share photos with their friends, but they're not quite sure how to make that happen because they might have a new computer or they're not comfortable with the programs that need to be used. This is a good way of using English in a meaningful way to help people, which you can do with members of MCLL. There are always volunteering opportunities throughout the session as well. And CATS, which is a career advising and transition service, is a group within our school which are there to help you with questions about what you want to do after your program time with us. And they also offer different seminars and workshops with other McGill students from different programs where you can get to know them and you can learn from these opportunities. So the certificate. The English Language and Culture program can lead to a certificate of proficiency, which is given by McGill University. This is just an example of one. So to receive the certificate, you must be admitted to the program. This is something that we can get into a little bit earlier, but the point here is that there is a difference between admission and registration. Admission is to be in the program, to be admitted and accepted in the program. Registration is for a specific course. So you want to register for a course, but you want to apply or be admitted for the program. They're a little bit different, and depending on what your goals are, you might have a different path. You might need to be admitted, you might not. If you just want to take one course with us, maybe two, you might not need to be admitted. If you want to complete the program and receive the certificate, you will need to apply for admission. To receive the certificate, you have to complete the two top levels, Advanced 1 and Advanced 2. It says Advanced A and B, but we've changed it to 1 and 2. In addition to this, when you receive the certificate of proficiency from our school for this program, it meets the English language requirements for admission to any undergraduate or graduate program at McGill. For example, if you are someone who comes from anywhere in the world and you want to study at McGill in engineering, but you're not sure if your language proficiency is there to pass the IELTS test or entry requirements, you can take a couple of courses with us, develop your English, receive the certificate, and then you automatically meet the language requirements for entry into the engineering program. One example. So there are 7 levels and 8 courses. The 7 levels are elementary, 1, 2, intermediate, 1, 2, 3, bridge, and the 2 advanced courses. We put advanced together as one level because these are the only 2 courses that we allow to take interchangeably. You don't have to take advanced 1 before advanced 2. You can take advanced 2 before advanced 1 because they really work together. The first 6 levels must be taken in order. So you cannot take intermediate 3 before taking intermediate 2. It really is a progression. As you can see over here, there are some equivalencies to different metrics for English language proficiency, the CEFR, the Common European Framework, the IELTS, TOEFL, etc. How do we know where you start your program? Well, that's something I should have mentioned a little bit earlier, moving back over here, actually. When you join the program, you do not automatically start at level 1. This is why we have a placement test, so that we can know where your first course will be. This means that every student has a different path for their studies with us. Some people will require 5 courses, others will require 3, others will require 7. It depends on the results of your placement test. The placement test is done online and you can register for it. It costs $43.06. And important to note, you can take this placement test before making a decision as to if and when you want to study with us. You can take it 6 months before you start your studies with us, if you want, because the results are valid for 1 year. It's done online, takes about 1 hour, and you have a 2-day window, 48 hours, to do the test whenever you want. Usually it's between Tuesday at noon until Thursday at noon. So you can take it during the day, in the evening, in the morning, whatever works for you. The important thing is that you dedicate that 1 hour for the placement test, which will determine your starting level. Important to note, you don't have to take a placement test every time you want to take a class. No, it is just for the first course to determine where you start. After that, if you continue with us, you will automatically move to the next level after you complete 1 course. Dates, very, very useful to know. We have a winter session which starts on January 9th. So 1 month from now, our winter 1 session will be starting. And we have 6 sessions per year. Winter 1, winter 2, summer 1, summer 2, fall 1, fall 2. These are the dates for each of these sessions. There is usually a registration deadline before each session, and it's around 2 weeks, generally speaking. So that means to register with us, for example, January 9th, our January 9th session, the registration deadline is December 21st. What if you miss the deadline? Well, 1, we can't guarantee that there will be a space for you. This is why taking your placement test as early as possible is good, because we would be able to tell you if there is space. And 2, we can't guarantee that the course will be offered, because the earlier people register, the more confident we are in our numbers to open all of the levels. But if you can't, you're not sure, you haven't made a decision, it's not the end of the world, but there is a $200 late registration fee, which kicks in after December 21st. So, all that to say, if you want to study with us, try and register before the deadline for the session. If you don't, it is still possible, but there's a $200 late registration fee. Here are the fees. So per session, or per 6-week course, 1 session is 1 course. It is $2,573.80. when you break it down at per hour ratio, it's actually quite affordable. It's because of the amount of English and classroom time in the program is a lot. Books are all included. Almost all of the activities are free of charge. And this is the same price for whatever your residency status is. International students, permanent residents in Canada, citizens, it doesn't matter. It is a flat fee for everyone. The one difference between residents of Canada and international students is the medical insurance. So it is a law that you must be covered by medical insurance when you come to Canada. And you would need to pay the $90 for coverage for one semester. So that's 2 sessions. So that's about 3 months of medical insurance coverage. As I mentioned just earlier, for the upcoming session on January 9th, the registration deadline is December 21st. After which there is a late registration fee if you want to join us, which comes to $2,773.80 with the $200 extra. So as we're moving forward in time, things have loosened up a little bit. It's a bit easier to travel now. So this is as of October. There are no more travel restrictions in terms of COVID-19, but it's useful to visit this website just to keep track in case, because we never know. That's one thing we've learned during COVID is we can't be sure of the future. But as it stands, it seems like as if it's getting easier and easier to travel throughout the world. Housing, there are a few housing options. There's no on-campus housing for ELC students, but there is off-campus opportunities that you can see through this link, as well as homestays, 2 of which over here, MS Homestay and Minerva Homestay. These are companies that are not part of McGill, but many of our students have used their services in the past, and we tend to have we tend to hear very good things about their experiences during the homestays. Homestays are a fun way of really immersing yourself in the culture of Montreal because you live with a local family. There are also private student residencies right near campus. In fact, this campus 1 right over here is 300 meters away from our building, very, very close. And there's also Evo and Parc Cité, all of which are located downtown within walking distance of campus. How to pay? The simplest thing is to come pay in person at the counter. But if you're not in Canada, that's a bit difficult. You can pay online, either with a Canadian bank account. You can use Interac e-transfer, or outside of Canada, Western Union Global Pay. I believe Gabrielle will be posting, or has already posted, a link for online payment and information about how to go through with that. Oh, there it is. How to register. This is the first step towards registration. You can visit it, and we will be made aware of your interest. We'll be sending you all the different steps on how to end up getting registered. This will include placement test information, the link to it, admission information, a registration form, how to submit it to client services, etc. We also have a program video. Not sure if Gabrielle has the link to this, but you can see our program video on our main web page for English Language and Culture. You can just look up English Language and Culture McGill. All of the information I've given you just here is available on our main web page if you want to surf around and see some more detailed information. That's pretty much it for the presentation. I hope it was useful, and I hope it answered some of your questions. I hope it piqued your curiosity about Montreal, and don't hesitate to ask any questions now if you have any. We'll try and answer them the best way we can. Feel free to unmute yourself. You can ask it, you can type it in the chat, whatever works best for you. No questions? Okay, well, I guess we'll wait 1 or 2 more minutes just in case someone is typing up something.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, my name is Mirwais Yusufi. And I'm a resident here in Canada, in Montreal. I'm looking to. My question is more specific about after finishing this course or program, how like easy would it be to get admission, like academic English learning? Is there a major thing out there to, if we join, we learn the academic part of the English? Thank you.
Well, sorry, continue. I'm sorry if you have anything more to.
Yeah, so the my question is that I have an aim to get into a master program in McGill or an English based university. I mean, in Canada. So this is my aim, and I'm looking for an extensive program which is not very long at the
Yep.
same time, and it meets my requirement or my need. Thank you.
Okay, so very good question. Um, the certificate of proficiency from our English language and culture program meets the English language requirements for McGill University, whether it's undergraduate or graduate. It is proof for McGill that you have developed your English to the point that you can study as a student at McGill University. It is recognized, which means you don't have to take a test. You don't have to do anything like that in terms of the language. But if you plan on studying at other universities, it depends on which university. I can't guarantee that they will recognize a particular certificate. However, the courses themselves do represent preparation and practice for a test if you do need to take one for another university. So essentially, if you plan on studying at McGill, it's a bit easier because McGill recognizes their own certificate, so you're in for the language. But if you want to go to a different university anywhere in English, the courses that you will take with us will improve your English and allow you to be better prepared for whatever language test you might have to take for that university.
Okay, is the course uh, long enough to learn academic English in this 6 weeks period? That's my other question. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. So each course is 6 weeks long, and at every level except the very, very, very beginner levels, there is academic English work. So you're going to be doing research, you're going to be writing essays, you're going to be doing academic presentations on research topics. So it really does give you an opportunity to develop your professional and academic English. It depends at which level you start. So if you start somewhere in the middle and you take 4 courses with us, that's 4 times 6 weeks. And that is a lot of English. But again, this is where the placement test is very, very important so that we know how long you would need to study to finish the program and receive the certificate.
All right, thank you very much. It was very informative.
No
By
problem.
the way, maybe one last question. Each course is 6 week, and the cost of each course is 2,500 amount.
Yeah.
Am I right? So if there's
Yes.
the 5 course, and that has to be multiplied by 5.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay.
That's
Is
what it
there
is. It's the 2,573 and 80 cents for the 6 weeks, 144 hours. And
okay?
depending on how many courses you take, it costs for each one. Yes.
Is there any financial aid out there for those who need these to attend the program? Thank you.
Not for this program because it is a non-credit program. Only credit programs like undergraduate and graduate level programs are eligible for financial aid. And this is why it is a flat fee for all students. It doesn't matter where you're from, whether you're international or local. It's a flat fee because there's no financial aid. That's why.
Thank you very much. It
No
was very.
problem.
Bye.
Bye-bye. So Gabrielle, did I miss anything earlier up in the chat?
No, there were no questions in the chat at all, but if anyone has any questions, please don't hesitate to write them in the chat or unmute yourself.
So I got one here again. It was mentioned financial aid. As I just described, there's no financial aid for this specific program. Other than that, I think we're good. Someone wants to talk after the meeting. So if there are no more questions, what I'll do is I'll stop the recording, and if anyone
And I put the email addresses for questions if you have questions later on. So there's the language.content@mcgill.ca for generic questions, and there is Kevin Stanley's email address. He's, as Damien mentioned, he's the academic program coordinator for English Language and Culture program.
So don't hesitate to send us an email if you have any questions at all. And if you want to register or begin the registration process, you can visit the link that Gabrielle included in the chat and just get it started. And we'll get back to you as fast as possible with steps. Okay? Very well. So I'm going to stop the recording. And as I mentioned, you'll be receiving this by email within probably 24 hours.